Hey, folks, it's Dave back here in the friendly confines of Studio B, back from a long trip to the Pro Football Hall of Fame out in Canton at the APA football event. I got me hat, I got me shirt. The funny story about that is we were in a couple, I think we had two rooms going just outside the Hall of Fame, or it was downstairs, and it was just a quick walk into the gift shop or the pro shop, whatever you want to call it. It was huge, just all football as far as you can see. And I must have went in there like 8 or 9 times. And first I was overwhelmed, and then I was just overwhelmed at the price of things. And then I finally I says I need to get something before I go. And I think it was St. Patrick to come in, and he had like a little fridge magnet. I was like, I've been eyeing the fridge magnet. And then I says, no, I really need to have something to wear on camera when I get home. So I got a hat. I like my little trucker hats. And then I got this old school shirt. I think it was Matt McClelland had a hat with this logo on it. And I kind of like that. So I says, I need to get a couple of things as a memento for the trip out there. I'm really hoping to get back out there, but in case I don't, I wanted something to show there. So that is the story behind the hat in the shirt here. So many things to talk about. Tomorrow, I believe Ron and I are going to get together to do our official Canton wrap up podcast. So we'll get into a lot of detail on that, everything that happened out in Canton this week, or last weekend, I should say. It was a long ride. I got a big shout out to Mike, another replay guy, hooray, who drove the whole way. I drove down to Connecticut and met him. He drove all the way out there. I was the co-pilot. Actually turned out to be a pretty good co-pilot. We navigated around a few things. We got lost a couple times, ran into a nuclear power plant, but hey, it's all part of the fun, right? So I will go into a lot of those details on the podcast as well. But we get out there, and what a time it was. Everybody was so good out there. I think they had 30 people out there, a little over 30 people for this event. And I don't know how many they had last year. I don't know if they had just 8 or 10 or what it was, but it was, I think this was the most they've ever had. And I'm kind of hoping next year will grow. But it was a fun time. Didn't know what to expect. So I just set up on the media table in the back of the room, and I tried to have a camera kind of panning out. So if you see in the videos, you had an idea what was happening at this event. So you could see like my view of it and what everybody was doing. And I think a couple of times I went around the room with a camera so you could kind of see what was happening at every table, just give it a feel of what it was like out there. So maybe you'll be looking at that saying, oh, geez, that's something I want to participate in. This is my first event of anything like this with this community anyway. And it couldn't have gone better. Everything was just great. The people were great. As expected, I didn't remember everybody's name because I didn't have any faces to put the names aside from, Al Wilson was on the show. I think we had St. Patrick on the show. Jeff, obviously, who organized it, was on the show. So there was a handful of people, Keith Avalone, that I knew by face because we've had them on the show. But there was so many other people that were there that I didn't know, and so it was trying. I prefaced this on the show before I went out. It's like if I forget names, don't get mad at me because I'm gonna probably get hit with 25 people that I know by name, or I've seen them in the chat rooms or on Facebook or Delphi, but I haven't. I need to put all these faces to names. So by the end of day two, I was getting pretty good at some of them. But a couple things that happened. Again, I'm trying not to spoil too much. So I want to save it for the podcast tomorrow. It's probably going to be a long podcast tomorrow. So just a heads up, the Canton Recap Show podcast is going to be pretty long. I do have some things to unbox. Yes, I got a handful of items that were given to me by the people there, and I will do unboxing videos of them at some point. I'm extremely excited about the things I got. Not going to lie, I was completely unexpected. I had no idea, but they come up to me and said, "This is yours," and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "Nope." And so I'll reveal those on the show tomorrow, and then I'll have the unboxings here on YouTube. What was kind of neat is the guest speaker here handed out these sample magazines. The Coffin Corner is the Professional Football Reference Association, I think it was. And so he says, here's if you sign up, here's the magazine you'll get. And I think it's a quarterly magazine. Yeah, profootballresearchers.org. And so he gave the speech before. And so we got to look at that magazine and listen to him. And yeah, trying to think if I'm going to sign up for that or not. It's something if I'm not big into pro football stats and things like that, but it was fairly inexpensive. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks a year. And so to be involved in something like that might not be a bad idea. George, who I met there, and I'm going to call him out by name because he gave me something here. This is his newsletter for his Action PC football group that he's been doing for, oh man, I forget how many years they've been doing this. But look at this. It's like all the stats and articles, and this is what they do. And I think he designs it. Someone writes it, and I think he says he does all the designing here. And it's just kind of neat. I was flicking through this here, and it's pretty wild that him and his crew do this here. And that was one of the things that happens is when you go there, people talk, and it's all these conversations that are happening. And that was one of them. He handed these out at dinner on Sunday night, I think it was. We went out to dinner, and he says, "Hey, check these out. This is our newsletter that we give out." So that was kind of neat. So a couple things right off the bat. Now I'm going to be all over the place. And this is going to be a short video because I'm going to save most of it for tomorrow. A big shout out to Jeff Giordano, who organized this, the Apple Football Club. And I say that because it's something that all weekend long I was like, wow, I can't believe this event turned out like this. And it's because of Jeff. Okay. He put his ego aside and went with the flow. And Al Wilson also mentioned this on his wrap up. He did an article, wrapping up the event this weekend. And he said the same thing. He said, this started off as an APA football tournament. Somewhere along the way, it turned into a tabletop gathering convention, what you want, what you will. There was a lot of football games there besides APA. In fact, there was even some other people who were playing hockey. Some other people were playing some of the play games that weren't technically football. And the only tournaments I think that really happened was a breakaway tournament. Breakaway football was there, and fast drive football tournament. The APA football tournament never happened. In fact, safe to say, APA was probably one of the least played games there. And I'm not saying that in a knocking way. I'm saying that how this worked out is there were a lot of football games there, and it went from just one football game to probably 10 football games that were being shown at this event. And Jeff put his ego aside. And as he said on his video in the car on the way home, he read the room, and the room said, if people want to do this and enjoy themselves, let's do it. So kudos to Jeff, and Al pointed this out as well. He went with his gut, saw what was happening, and I think this is the most people that attended this event. And it's because he didn't just, force this as an APA tournament. Okay. He said, hey, let's play games. And he said he had a lot of fun just watching people play, watching people talk, watching people interact, share things, like this right here. People are talking about the stuff that they do in their leagues. I got to meet a lot of people, which is fun, and report from the hall there down in the room that we rented. And so kudos to him first off for reading the room and realizing that if he just kind of was strict about this is APA and it's a tournament, that he wouldn't have got the turnout that he did, because a lot of people were like, well, I wouldn't have came if it was just APA. They came for the gathering. They came for the meet and greet. They came to play some new games. I played games I've never played before. And I'm like, wow, I need to get this game now. And so it was just a good time chatting with people, meeting with people. But yeah, and I'm hoping next year they do that too. I'm hoping next year that it's a football gathering or just a tabletop gathering, or, maybe football heavy. But not that you want to turn this into a baseball thing in the Football Hall of Fame. I get that. But just the idea that it was opened up to everything. And I think that's what made this work really well. So kudos to Jeff on that, for opening this up and just having a good time. So that's the first thing I want to say. Secondly, I really hope I represented the podcast well and represented myself well. I was concerned about that somehow I would rub somebody the wrong way and they would like, this Dave guy's a jerk, and so I'm kind of hoping that things went well with that everybody I met, didn't think that about me. I was, again, setting up was kind of confusing. It's my first time at one of these events, so I was a little lost for a while. And And then with all these people who I didn't know by face yet, I did recognize a lot of names. And so I've slowly tried to put faces to names, but it's one of these games. It's like that game you play when you flip over the card and you flip over the next card and you're wrong. And you're like, well, let me flip over this. Oh yeah, I got the 2 sailboats, So I was kind of doing that all week. It's like, okay, I got to remember this guy. The guy in the hat, is Mark, and this guy over here, is George. And so I was all weekend long. I didn't want to be rude and get somebody's name wrong, but when you meet 25 people at once that you never met, it gets a little confusing. So there's that. Again, big shout out to Mike who drove and allowed me to kind of communicate on my phone, and we did a live stream from the truck, or a video from the truck that we did on the way back. Yeah, James, names tags would have been great. And he said it's sort of it, and it looked like it was unbelievable. It was, and I'll talk about this more tomorrow. Yes, I would have loved the name tags, at least for day one, because there was just so many people there that come up to me and talking to me, and hi, I'm so and so, and then I was like, what was his name again? Because like 4 or 5 people would come up to me and say, hey, Dave, I'm so and so, and I was like, okay, which one were you again? And so that's kind of how it was. But I think I got pretty good, because I would ask too. I was like, hey, I forget that guy's name, because I remember him and I remember him, but what's him again? And so that's kind of how it went. But it was a great time. But again, shout out to Jeff for reading the room and allowing this to be opened up beyond APA to a point where, again, we were playing all kinds of games. I showed off season ticket, and people seemed to really like that. They really did. And then back at the hotel, I pulled out Solitaire Pro Football, and people liked that. So I probably should have brought that out on Saturday or Sunday as well and showed that off. But again, it's like anything else. If you've ever hosted an event or been to a big event, you walk away with regret. It's like, even at my wedding, I was like, man, I didn't spend enough time with this guy, and this person wanted to chat, and I never talked to them. And then you think back at all the things that you should have done and could have done, and it just didn't work out. And so that's kind of how it was, because there was a handful of people like, hey, let's get together and play some HAPA football. It's like, yeah, let's do that. And your next thing you know, Saturday's wrapping up, and we're going out to dinner, and then we come back on Sunday, and it was like one thing after another, and then you start fading. Sunday started, I was fading fast. I was so tired, and there was some things that just didn't happen that I really wished I did. I wanted to sit in on the Strat football, and I watched a little bit, but I didn't sit at the table and really get into it. And I wish I had done that. I wish I got more involved with the breakaway football, but I didn't get over there as much, because I was reporting and I was interviewing. You saw that I had, many hours of footage from the days. And then I wanted to sit and actually play games. So I sat down with Keith and played his Football Fury one-on-one. And that was kind of nice, because Keith said, he goes, you're on my list today, Dave. So make sure you give some time, because me and you are going one-on-one with this. I'm going to show you the game. And so that's something I'm going to pick up too. That was a very fun game. I played matchup football with ST Patrick. So it's fun when you play with a game designer, because you just, any question you have, they answer for you. There's no guessing. It's like, this is great. I did like that quite a bit. Fast Drive Football with Al Wilson. He now has a head-to-head mode, and he was trying it out at the event, and I guess myself and a couple other people made some suggestions to him, and he immediately implemented those. And by the end of the day, or the end of the tournament, he had a pretty smooth head-to-head matchup system going for his Fast Drive Football. So that was a lot of fun too. Trying to think what else was there that I'm not going to spoil for tomorrow's show. No, just it's a big shout out to Jeff for organizing this, allowing me to go. And Jeff sat down with me actually kind of towards the end of it on Sunday. I said, Jeff, because he's bouncing around. Jeff's going everywhere, right? He's hanging out with Fred Bolitnikoff. True story. Fred Bolitnikoff showed up after I signed off. I was on for about an hour, and I forget the video was an hour and 5, hour and 10 minutes. And I signed off, and I'm kind of, me and Ron are just chatting, because he's still in the room after I signed off. And somebody with a gold jacket walks in. I said, Ron, someone here is with a gold jacket. And someone looks at me and goes, Fred Bolitnikoff. And I went, oh my gosh, we signed off right as Fred Bolitnikoff jumped in the room. So I said, Ron, I got to restart the room. So I restarted the room and fired it up. So I got a 6 or 7 minute video of Fred Bolitnikoff signing autographs and taking pictures with people. And Jeff actually gave him his card in the 76 Raiders and he got a nice picture that I put up on the Digital to Dice Facebook group. So that was a lot of fun. So Jeff's bouncing all over the place, and finally I set up some Apple football with my 79 season. Now that's my older set, and I said, Jeff, I need 5 or 10 minutes. So he sat down with me and says, I'm just going to play, and I want you to kind of point out some things and look at what I'm doing. And because I was using the old charts and I was also using the conversion charts, and we went over it, and he starts explaining like some of the different rules from the older set that are not in the newer sets. And I was like, I didn't pick up on that. And he goes, yeah, right here. And then I says, oh, I love that. And I said, can I use that with the new sets? He goes, no, only the old set. And I was like, maybe the old sets are going to be fun too. Maybe it's something I should not give up on. And so we only were together like 10 or 15 minutes, but I learned so much about playing the old sets. And we went over the conversion charts versus the old charts. And he's just like, it's really 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It's really, we looked at all the results and it's not that much of a difference. So it was fun to sit down with him. He just knows so much about the game and about the history of it. He was going over the history of the game, from box, the big box to this box to this box. And it was so fun, watching him do his thing with App and then sitting down with me. And I just appreciate the time he took to help me, play some of the 79 season. So that was really kind of fun. Just going over a few things and pointing out things I didn't pick up on. And then he's like, yeah, hey, if you look at the chart, I was like, boy, I didn't pick up on that. And I think he mentioned that too. I don't know if that was on the James cast, tabletop cast there, or if that was in his car video that he said that he was kind of pointing some things out to me that I didn't pick up on, and sometimes that would happen to him too. So that was kind of neat. Speaking of Tabletop Sportscast, we had James Cast on. He was reporting live too. I just listened to his latest podcast. I think it was Wrap Up 1, so I think he'll have another wrap up coming up for that. I think, but he had some guests on, and so it was kind of fun listening to that today while I was unpacking. I finally did get everything unpacked right about 5 minutes ago before I come on here. We left Canton Monday morning at right around 8 o'clock. Okay, I got some breakfast and jumped in the car with Mike. We get on the road right around 8 o'clock. We ended up driving out to the Poconos, and I stopped and saw my friend Barbara, who I've known for, I don't know, 15 years maybe. And we've never met. And I says, we're going right by her house. So we pulled off and we had lunch with her. Never met her. So that was kind of fun, is popping in and seeing Barbara. And Barbara and Mike are both Ranger fans. So when he's like, is that the Barbara Ranger fans? It's like, yeah, that's the Barbara Ranger fan that was in my chat room a lot. And you guys were chatting. So it's like, oh, perfect. So they got to meet, and we got to have lunch with her and meet the dog and the whole bit. And she has bears that come out of the woods and go through the trash and stuff. So Mike's like, I want to see a bear. I'm like, I don't want to see a bear. So Mike was adamant about he wanted to see a bear. She goes, you might, you never know. I'm like, oh, I don't want to see a bear. So we stopped for about an hour there and get back on the road, but we didn't get back to Mike's house. We hit some traffic in Connecticut, 5 o'clock traffic. So we left at 8. By the time we get to his house, and then it's a 2-hour ride for me, I didn't get home till almost 10 o'clock. That was a long day. That last couple of miles was tough on me at 10 o'clock last night, let me tell you. Slept really good, though. Slept really good. And I just now started putting things away and, washing the dirty clothes. And every time I go away and you start washing the dirty clothes, it reminds me of that old commercial. It must have been a detergent commercial. Remember the old commercial with the mother's like, the underwear that came home from camp? I always think of that when I start washing clothes when I come home from a trip. But that's what happened. So I just washing clothes, putting stuff away. I brought a ton of stuff out there as far as games and computer stuff and cameras and the whole bit. So I have a pretty good idea what I need to bring next time, so I can maybe lighten the load a little bit. But having that tripod with the webcam on it so I could pan around the room, I thought that was good because I enjoyed talking to people at the same time, having a picture of the room out there so people could see what was going on and seeing all the people game and the people chatting and the whole bit. So it all in all was a really fun time. And I'll get into that deeper tomorrow. We got some funny stories to tell that happened with us on the ride and even at the event. So we had some really good. I guess it was a second convention going on at the time at our hotel, and only one guy in our group was part of both, I guess. So we'll have to talk about that a little bit. And I got a couple things I'll unbox, and I'll say what I got on the podcast tomorrow. I want to save that. I don't want to spoil that. But it was just so fun. meeting everybody. I was a kid in a candy store. It was probably one of the most, probably my favorite trip I think I've ever taken. I can't think of another trip that I had that much fun on and I looked that much forward to. And really, I put my travel anxiety behind me, at least for this weekend. And that went pretty well. So maybe I'm over the travel anxiety hurdle because I did look at the Baseball Hall of Fame, and that's only about 4.5 hours for me. So it's half the distance to Ohio. So that's something I think I could do. So the next event there, I think I would like to go to that if possible. And but and yeah, and I want to mention this real quick, and I'll probably have to do a separate video on this, but we're looking at doing something here on the East Coast. So now, if you would like to attend an event here on the East Coast, we're probably looking at Connecticut is what we're looking at, because I think that would be able to include, the Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, maybe even a little bit of New York people. As far as that one, if we had it up in Boston, it would be harder to get the New York people up. So we're thinking about an event on the East Coast. If that's something you'd be interested in, please let me know. We're in the planning stages. I have no idea what time of year this is going to be. The problem for me is once I get into October, pretty much every Saturday is booked for me. Not everyone, but a lot of them. So I have to keep that in mind if I want to attend or if I want to help set it up. That once we get into October to March is kind of tough for me. Doesn't mean every weekend is jammed, but it gets kind of tough. So we're not sure when. We're not sure what weekend's going to be. I think we've kind of narrowed it down to the Connecticut area. Maybe that hotel I stayed at in Connecticut was not too bad, and it was right across the street from the casino. So there's things to do now there at the casino. So we could maybe have the event at that place. Dummy Dave was so caught up in things. I never checked out the room that they had. I should have checked out the room. But, I don't know if we could get 10, 15, 20 of us and maybe, go down there, stay there. And if people wanted to go to the casino afterwards, they could. Or, the hotel had a restaurant there that we could do dinner at or whatever. But, Connecticut's kind of a central point for the East Coast. So if you'd like to do something with that and, the East Coast is where you could go, let us know. So we have an idea. And then we'll start locking down some dates and some ideas and places. And also, if by chance you have any connections at all with any kind of hotels or anything like that, please let me know. I'm just making my note. East Coast events. Let me know too, because I haven't never organized anything at a hotel, and so I'm kind of reaching out into the community, see if anybody down there, hey, my sister works here, my cousin works there, hey, I own a whatever, I'm the manager, and that might help us out too, to kind of get an idea what we need to do, how we need to do it, so we can get people together in an event. Again, the first event's always going to be the toughest, but after what I saw this weekend, I definitely would like to do, more of these. I don't want to do one a year. I'd like to do 2 or 3 a year if possible. I'm going to be, if all goes well, I'll be going out to play next, I don't know if that's June or July next year. So I'm going to be doing that. So I'm not sure when that event is going to be, but if you'd like to do something on the East Coast, because a lot of people are saying, boy, I wish you had one here on the East Coast. And so I just want to throw that out there as well. And so David C. come by. Yes, I had a great trip. It was really fun. Barbara, it was finally nice meeting you out there. That was a good time. Good tuna, good turkey sandwich. Yes, I did have a great time. And Peter likes the logo on the shirt. Yeah, they had, see, this is the new logo, and I like that. That's what the magnet is. But I need to get something a little old school too. So that was kind of neat. And Ty says he's really going to try to make it next year. I'd love to see the Hall of Fame itself, and playing games would be a great add-on. I had more fun playing the games and going to the Hall of Fame. And I'll talk about that too tomorrow, what my thoughts were in the Hall of Fame. And hello from Vancouver. That's not quite East Coast, but we'd love to have you. But thanks for coming by. And now you want to watch Solitaire Pro videos. Well, let me tell you something. My gaming funk is over because I can't wait to play. I got to work tonight. In fact, I'm going into work in about 15 minutes. I can't wait to play. I can't wait to play something. And Solitaire Pro is on the top of my list. So I pulled that out and I was showing people at the hotel, and I was like, and this game was clicking. For some reason, it was clicking with me. It never clicked before, at least not that well. And this time I was like, wow, all the stuff I struggled with, I wasn't struggling with. this time. So I was like, I need to play more of this because it's an inexpensive game. Seasons are inexpensive. It's a fun game. It's a fairly easy game. Anything we ran into on the fly, I was looking at the rules and we were getting through it, and we never got stuck once. And so it's a very, very fun game. So I need to play more of that. I'm trying to think. So I think somebody brought the 49 quick decks, but we didn't play that. I have that here behind me too. So many things I want to do, including the 49 quick decks hockey, which I need to break out. ST Patrick, we hung out quite a bit this weekend, and that was great. It was fantastic getting to hang out with me in Canton. Thank you. Same. Looking forward to we get to do it again. And now he's a Apple football fanatic in one city. Yeah, I showed ST how I play Apple football, at least kind of sort of play it, and just say, look, here's what I do. For better or for worse, this is what I do. This is how I get my defense ratings, and I roll for offense. I look at the chart, and it's just so fun. Again, I love the Apple football, and the way I do it, I really enjoy it. So yes, I'm hoping you enjoy it too. And so June, so play.com will be in June. Oh boy, I was hoping July, because June's when they wrap up some of the seasons. But I'm gonna have to miss the championship game if it's that weekend. So be it. I think I'm one of the speakers, and I think Keith said that, and I said that. So, and Joshua's from Boston originally, and he still has family and friends. So he might make a trip out here to the East Coast. That would be kind of fun, getting to meet everybody. And Ron McGrath comes by. He watched all the videos. Oh, fantastic! Blitnikoff was great. Yep, he was there. I was trying to make contact because he had this like a little woman guide. I don't want to say bodyguard, but a guide. That's what they do. And so I was kind of hoping that she'd make eye contact. And I was like, camera, can you get him on the camera over here? But he took a ton of photos, and then he left. So I didn't want to be a pain, but I did get the video of him taking pictures with everybody. And ST Patrick says, I think July is Gen Con in Indianapolis, and they might try to go to that. Okay, nice. And James says, hasn't played Apple football since 72. I would have sat somebody next to somebody, see if I recall how to play. Yeah, I only recently started playing it, and I love it. I have my 78 season sitting over here. That's how much I like the games. I have this ready to go at any time. I can drop it on the table and play. So that is that. But yeah, so there's a quick recap of what was going on at Canton as far as some things, and I'll get into a lot more detail on the podcast. But I did want to at least come on and say hi. I just woke up from another nap. I was so tired when I come home last night. Slept in, unpacked, had lunch, get ready for work, and then I slept again. So now I should be able to get through the night at the rink. But I was away for 5 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's a long time. For someone with travel anxiety, it's a long time to be away. So I'm really kind of trying to refocus on things around the house and get bills paid and the whole bit. So that's what's going on with that. So anyway, so I'm hoping to talk to everybody tomorrow, and we will get that all squared away, and we'll get into more detail with what happened in Canton and all the good, bad, and the ugly of what went down at the Pro Football Hall of Fame with the Apple Football Club event. So we'll do that tomorrow, and that is that. And I can't wait to get some more football back here on the channel. Is going to these things and seeing everybody play games, learning new games. Having some new games now, it makes me want to play now. So that kind of busted me out of my funk. So, and with the cooler temperatures too, has been great too. So I'm Dave. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later. I got to go to work. Bye-bye.